Hello. I want to walk you through a really solid email example. And if you're new to email marketing, you can use this video kind of as a guide and a way to show you how to communicate a really strong message. Maybe if you have a lot of copy, you still want to make the email engaging. This is a really great example of how to do that. This comes from ilovecreatives. So I thought I'd walk you through what about this email is so solid and different ways that you can use these same principles in your own email marketing. So first I'll start off with the actual initial points that I read from this email, and that was before I even clicked into it, and that is the subject line, and then the preview text, which you're not actually able to see here, but it is next class starts Friday, September 27th. So before I even dive into what is in the email, I know that they are referring to one of their courses, and I have a very specific timeline. So I know I need to read it probably this week if I'm interested in joining before September 27th. And so the context that I have that you don't necessarily have is I Love Creatives is hosting a new course all about Shopify web development. And I've gotten a couple of emails around the course before, but I think this is just a different way to warm an audience to the offer. So their Shopify course is the actual offer name. And now before I'm even, scrolling through the email, I know, okay, we're going to talk about what makes this course different, and there's a short timeline on it. And that's a really important thing to note when you're creating an email campaign. Your subject line doesn't have to be all-inclusive to everything that is in the email. I see clients a lot of times try and use a subject line of something along the lines like, Shopify course, pop quiz, curriculum in email. Some of these main points they're listing as their subject line, and from the reader's perspective, that doesn't really hook me in, but a question like what makes this course different when I know that I've signed up to get more information about the Shopify course, that does pique my interest. So that's a really great way to start an email. That's a really good way to increase your click-through rate. There's a lot of different ways to do that and to continue to increase that rate. I always make sure that I'm testing client subject lines and preview lines. I'll include in the description some of the tools I like to use to do that, but I really encourage, if you're writing your own campaigns, to put some thought into the subject line instead of making it an afterthought after you've written and designed the bulk of the email. So next thing we're going to go through is the actual email content itself. So we've got the typeface logo. This is such an underrated way to build brand recognition. I see people send email campaigns with their brand icon or even their submark. And while a lot of your warmer audience, people who have known you for a longer period of time, might be able to look at your submark and recognize who is sending the email, who that is coming from, I don't think it's the strongest way to connect with your audience. I think a typeface logo, so your logo or your just your brand name written out in a font that is branded, is a really great way to continue to connect voice, face, and all of that identity to yourself. I really think this is such an underutilized method of brand recognition, using a typeface logo. So in some way, I really recommend you working that into the top of your email. And then this also kind of addresses where I'm at in the funnel, in I Love Creatives funnel. So I'm on their Shopify course waitlist. Then they have this banner here. And again, this is the same thing as their preview text with a call to action. So the next class starts on Friday, September 27th. And if I click there, I'm going to get enrolled. I'm going to be taken to purchase. So I think this banner is great. We always reference paying attention to above the fold sections in emails. And all that means is the portion of an email before someone has to scroll. We want to make sure they're being greeted by a number of things. So a call to action specifically, it could be sign up for my course. It could be book a call with me. It could be purchase our new product or a new bundle, something like that. So we're getting their attention and we're taking the initiative, or enabling them to take the initiative to move forward. And a banner is a really easy way to do that. You can also use things like a navigation bar, or really any sort of just hyperlinked text. So you don't even need to make this a highlighted banner. You could simply just include click here to get first access to our Shopify course. click here to connect on a coffee chat, schedule a discovery call, whatever the case may be that you're wanting someone to take the action for. And then we've got a hero image here. Not everybody likes to send emails with hero images, and I understand that. There's a lot of context. There's a lot of certain emails that might not necessarily make sense to have a hero image there. I think it's a really easy way to continue to connect with your audience, and it doesn't have to be massive. You could even have one that's half the size of the one that they're using here as just some brand imagery. But again, you're really creating a vibe inside of the email, and you're creating an atmosphere. And so a hero image is a really way to kind of set the tone and set the vibe. And I think they've added a great one here. This is very on brand for ilovecreatives. If you're not familiar with the brand, they do a lot of this sort of bubbly text with stickers, and it's playful. It is fun. It's creative, obviously. And so I think this is a great example of a hero image you could use, and you could make it your own. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this email and really why I fell in love with it in the first place. And that is because this is a pretty copy-dense email. There is a lot of writing involved, and they are trying to communicate a lot of information. But the way that they've chosen to do this is honestly, I think, so exceptional because it's interesting. It isn't just blocks and blocks of text. I'm opening this on desktop, but I am assuming this looks very similar on mobile, and it's engaging. And that is really what we're going for here. We want people to be engaged with our emails and for them to feel like they're interested in what we're giving to them is valuable. And so the first thing here that they've done is hi friend. We can have the conversation around personalizations another day, but I don't think starting an email with hi at first name, the tag, to kind of like put in a personalization here. I don't think you have to do that. I don't think it's necessary. That's not where your community is built. It's not where trust is built in an email. This first line is literally just addressing someone so you can get into it. And I like how they just kept it hi friend. So I'm not going to dive into the copy specifics, though I do feel like ilovecreatives copywriting is really strong. They have a very specific target audience they're speaking to, which is why they're really good at copy. They know exactly who they're speaking to and how that person wants to interpret information, how they communicate. They're very knowledgeable about that. If you're struggling with writing copy in your emails, I urge you to take a deep dive into who is on your email list. Who is your target demographic? Build out target personas for them. This is as easy as saying, okay, I know my target demographic is roughly women in their 30s. I know that they are mostly stay-at-home moms and they have at least one kid. Build a target persona based on those factors. Okay, I'm going to pretend that there's this lady named Lisa, and Lisa has 2 kids at home. She has a part-time job at a local coffee shop. Build this persona. It's going to make it a lot easier when you come to write copy within an email because you can just talk to Lisa or whoever your Lisa is, whoever your target demographic is. You can sit down and have a conversation with them. And that is one more point I'll make before I move on. I know I'm moving a little bit slower through this email, but I just want to make sure that I'm touching on everything. It doesn't need to be a campaign that you're addressing a crowd of audience or a crowd with. And what I mean by that is when you're sending an email campaign, we are talking to one person. There are instances where it might make sense to break that fourth wall, so to speak, and to be able to have a little bit more of an open dialogue with a wider audience. But on a day-to-day basis, if we're looking at all of the emails you send in a week or a month, they primarily need to be speaking to one single person. Talk to Lisa. I'm going to get a shirt that says that. Talk to Lisa. So anyway, we have lines of text here. Now, 4 lines for a block of text. I don't typically do that much. I kind of try and cap it at 3 lines of text. But I don't think what they've done here is bad. I think, again, the copy is pretty strategic here. What I really like is we're playing with the flow of the email. So if we look up here, we've got kind of like, if we're just looking at structure, we've got a balanced structure here. We've got text on the left, text on the right, and then 2 sections here where we've got text in the middle. We've got a middle image, really aligned center. Then we get to this section where we have a full paragraph of text on the left and an image that fits the brand's vibe and what we're talking about in the email on the right. And then we go back to center aligned text. So really easy way to kind of play around and keep things interesting. And then we've got another button to download the curriculum. This is kind of a larger conversation around how you want someone to progress through your sales funnel. But what ilovecreatives does is with their courses, they share the curriculum before you get into the course. So it's part of what you access when you sign up for the waitlist. So when we look at this is actually the first button we're seeing, but above the fold, again, we're still getting urged to do something. So you don't have to wait to put a button in a space in order to push someone to take an action. And then again, we've got this play with the alignment, with the breaking up of text. So we've got a line of text here. So what sets this course apart? And we're calling again into what originally got someone to open the email in the first place, which is what's in the course. Why is this so different? We've got images on the left. These are really branded images. Then we have headline copy and then a paragraph of copy on the right. Most people are going to open an email and skim through it before they decide whether or not they actually want to read the whole thing. Most people are also reading on mobile. And in that case, headline copy is a great way to make sure that if they're skimming, they can see, okay, what sets this course apart? Well, I'm going to walk away with foundational programming skills. I'm going to pivot to a high-paying specialty, forever access to a mentor. Okay, let me see. I'm kind of interested in what this actually entails. So if they actually decide to read the entire email, you're going to have more context with that paragraph copy. Really easy way to make sure you're catering to two different types of readers, those who want to have a surface level understanding and those who want to have a more robust deep dive to what you're sharing. So we've got that breakdown of copy between imagery, and then we go into a more branded image that is directly from what they're pitching here, the Shopify course. Let me take a deep breath because I feel like I get on a soapbox and then I'm like, and then I get ahead of myself and I can't keep up with my brain. So we're breaking up all of this copy with an image that's relevant to what they're selling me. You can do this in a lot of different ways. It doesn't have to be a full image. It can be a partial image. But if you're a service provider, I would have some sort of image of maybe your portfolio work, or maybe it's an image of a client and maybe a testimonial aside, like next to it, so that you can showcase the work that you did or someone who's vouching for your efforts. And yeah, there's a million and one ways to do this, but I think the bigger point here is to make sure that when you're including images in an email, that it's still visually interesting to someone who might not have full context on the project. So we want to make sure, if you need stickers to communicate points, or if it's a GIF, something like that. And I always urge people to keep in mind when you're including images in an email, you need to plan and account for the fact that the image might not load. So if I open this email and this image isn't loading, there's not really anything lost. Now, I'm missing out on some visual aspects, but I'm still getting to the point of what they intended this email to inform me on. So when you're including images, make it low stakes for yourself. Don't put an image in there with a ton of copy that if someone didn't read that, they miss the entire point of the email. But we're including a really visually engaging element because the lower down you get in the email, the less likely people are to be reading as in depth. This is probably the point in the email where I was like, okay, this is really sick. And this is something that I think would be easy to replicate in a million different ways. And I'm hanging on to this for inspiration for my own clients. So the first thing here is we are using design to communicate a point. Because why learn to code the hard way? Watching YouTube. That's right, the point they're making. If you're learning how to code via YouTube, it's this confusing path. There's ups, there's downs, you take steps back and you take steps forward versus our curriculum. So we're using this method of design to translate a point to the reader. And that is how we do that in order to avoid just a block of text saying, hey, when you're learning on YouTube, yada, 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 like that is something that's going to require quite a few lines to communicate versus a design that communicates the same point. And can I just go back to my point before, where if this image didn't exist, they've already communicated much of this point in the copy above. So we're kind of reiterating the point here, but we're doing it in a different and fresh and engaging way. So I love this. I think this is awesome. There are 1,000,001 examples of ways to do this with design. You can look them up on Pinterest. You can look them up on Behance. Many, many profound designers have found innovative ways to use design to communicate points like this. So, when it could all be so simple, to quote Miss Lauryn Hill. And again, this is just like a really solid way to communicate things. And then we're kind of reaching the bottom of the email where we're going to have less to do with the actual intent of the email to get me to sign up for the Shopify course, and more of this this push to take an action specific to the brand itself. So maybe, I've read the email and I realized, I don't know that I actually want to take a Shopify course, but I did like what they did with this email and they've got an interesting voice. Maybe I'll check out some of their other work. So always, always, always leave room for a reply here. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself because, there's still a couple pieces. So I'll touch on those first. Hit the button below to save your spot in class, or send us your questions or hesitations at hello@ilovecreatives.com. This is an easy way to just reply, get people to increase your sender reputation or improve your sender reputation. And it never hurts to get replies from emails. It only helps. So it's really a great thing to urge. You can urge this in promotional campaigns for like they did here to answer any questions or hesitations. That also gives you insights into what people are struggling with that is preventing them from purchasing from you. So you're getting some customer information, some customer data around that. And it also just creates that open one-to-one dialogue. Replying to emails is honestly one of your quickest and most efficient way to a sale. And I cannot recommend enough that if someone is replying to your email, they are very hot leads. They are very far down in your sales funnel, regardless of what they're replying. If they have questions, if they have concerns, if they have the notion to send you an email in reply, that is someone who actually really cares about what you have to say and the product that you have, which in and of itself makes them a hot lead, or someone who is very close to converting. So nurture them, nurture that one-to-one dialogue, and you'll likely get a sale out of it. So that's a really important point. One final call to action, and then we've got just kind of like a sign off from their designer and developer who hosts the Shopify design course. But it's not this boring, same Flowdesk inspired sort of sign off. We've got something that's still very much branded and fits the vibe of the overall email. And then this is where I was kind of referring to the point of, okay, if I have read all of this and realized maybe the Shopify course isn't my favorite, I have something else in mind that I'd like to get from them. There are ways to keep people engaged. Go to the Shopify course, save your spot. These are probably the same. Let's see. These are probably the same link. That's my guess. Yeah. So they're using the same link, communicated in a different way. So this is the sales page. This is the product page versus the sales page. So really leading them to pretty much the same point. The curriculum, same call to action here, frequently asked questions. Let's see, is this pertaining to the Shopify course? Yeah. So FAQs for this. You could also swap something like this out. I know in my own personal emails and in a lot of my clients, I'll do something like the about page on my website, the collections page. If you're a product-based business, you could stick to FAQs just general to your brand, and then other general links like to social media and anywhere else that they can find you on the internet. However, I would really urge you as much as you can to push people towards your website as opposed to third-party platforms, because otherwise they're going to get distracted. And if you can keep them in your sphere, that's where you're really going to knock it out of the park with them. So again, this is just kind of an email that I felt inspired by, and then I'm going to keep in my gallery of inspiration because I love creatives. They know what they're doing. They're really informed designers. They're connected with their audience, and that is reflected pretty transparently in their emails. So hopefully this is helpful for you. If you have any questions about email marketing or how to make this campaign or campaigns like it for yourself, let me know in the comments below, and I hope you have a great day. See ya.